Welcome, everyone, to In Other Worlds, the LitRPG, Game Lit, and Fantasy podcast. I am your host, Jess, and today we are sitting down with Ryan Maxwell. Ryan, how are you?
Doing really well. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. So you are currently the author of Grand System Vending, which has 3 books out, and I think I heard that there's plans for it to be a 6-book series.
That is the plan, yes, on
Why
paper.
don't you give us a little bit of an overview on what the series is about?
Sure. Main idea behind the series was that a new system comes to Earth. Earth is integrated into the Intergalactic Federation of Planets, the IFP, and because of that, they have to implant a mana core because obviously Earth is a pretty mana dead zone. So they've implanted that, and because of that, now when a certain amount of ambient mana is all in one place, monsters spawn. So now monsters are spawning all over the world. People are not prepared for this because we lived in a pretty peaceful society. So to help out, the aliens notice that everybody on Earth loves vending machines. We have them literally everywhere. I can't go anywhere without seeing some kind of vending machine.
You're not wrong.
Exactly. So they took all the vending machines on Earth and turned them into miniaturized unmanned storefronts where you can buy all of your survival gear that you need. You kill monsters, monsters drop monster cores, and monster cores are the new currency for those vending machines. So it requires you to be a part of the system to actually obtain your rewards and actually be able to survive. So then a group of friends is now banding together to try to make a place where people can come that's safe from this, what they're calling the apocalypse that happened during that time. Just a pretty big, broad word for our whole world was turned upside down and billions of people died all in one day. So,
I mean, it's not a wrong description.
right? Feels pretty apocalyptic. So they have to try to survive in these things, and there's a lot of new challenges that they're put up against in finding out and dealing with people, and dealing with monsters, dealing with dungeons, and other things that come up throughout the whole series that just make it super fun.
And so I think I heard in another interview that you did that you got the idea for the vending machines in a dream.
Did. Yes. I woke up one morning and I was like, well, that was weird. But vending machines are interesting. So I wonder where my brain was for that time. But yes, I woke up one morning and I just wrote down a bunch of my ideas onto a paper. It's where or onto my phone is where I keep everything because I can't just keep paper and pen on me at all times. So, and then what I usually do for my process is I allow myself 3 hours to do story planning to see if it's going to be something that's viable, if I can get anything out of it that makes sense, if it's funny, if it's serious, if it's whatever the case is. So I spent that time on it and I was like, I think this is something. I think I could do something with this. So that's where and then I just went on from there to start out on the first one. That was when I was a pantser more than I am now. So I really just pantsed book one, completely pantsed book one. I had no idea where I was going to end the series, where I was even going to end the book when I first started. I was like, I want to get this out and I want to write it down. And then, time obviously went on, spent more time in it, figured out where the story was going, and that's where we are now.
And so having pants to book 1, I'm assuming you kind of switched over to being a plotter with books 2 and 3.
Yeah, I adopted more of a hybrid approach for those two. I still allow myself the freedom and creativity to just go and do so that I don't have everything kind of like, it doesn't feel scripted or what have you. I want things to feel more natural and realistic and how they react to things. But I at least come up with, here's where the book starts, here's where the book ends, here's a couple major points that we need to hit, and here's what the big struggle is. Then how I get there can kind of go back and forth on where it's at during the process to do, but at least gives me something to work off of.
Yeah. Do you ever find yourself like writing yourself into a corner that you have a hard time getting out of?
100%. I have absolutely done that before, where I'm like, they're all going to die here. So we're going to wipe that chapter out and we'll go do something different. So yes, that definitely has happened. I like to call it, I've Tolkiened myself a couple of times because Tolkien was notorious for writing himself into a corner where it just kind of faded to black. And then they were like, we all survived. So
I don't know how, but
they're like, well, how did we survive? They go, don't ask questions. It's not important. All that's important is we survived.
Yeah, everyone's doing something over here and they're like, look over here.
Yep, exactly.
At the beginning of this story, the main characters are a couple of friends who are commuting to work, and they are just driving down the highway when the big monolith appears, and they hear the booming and the instructions, and then they're just like, oh, and by the way, there might be monsters, and then there are monsters. There's no like space in between that. There's no time to prepare. It's just like, oh, there might be monsters, and then there are. And so many people die in the beginning of the book.
Yes, it's one of those things that you really have to I really had to find a nice balance for what would happen if we were suddenly turned into a place that had things that didn't follow our laws, that weren't a part of our code of ethics and how we operate as human beings. I'm sitting in a time now where the police. What would happen if the police couldn't get to you? So I have to put these things or I try to put these things in perspective of if something just suddenly started attacking people with weapons, a lot of people are going to die because we are not prepared for those kind of things as a regular part of our day. So
Well, and I imagine even for some of the people that have guns, their first instinct may not be to just shoot. Like, you're most likely just gonna freeze for a second, at least for some people.
probably for a lot of people, it's again I've told people this before when I've read some things in other people's writings. I don't remember exactly who it was off the top of my head because it wasn't one of the big names or people that I've read recently, but there are times where there's just like all of a sudden this guy just has balls of steel and he's out there murdering people, and I'm like, that's not really how it would work because we
Mm-mm.
live in a peaceful society right now. Violence, you hear about violence, but in reality, with what 300 million plus people in this nation, and there's a couple incidences of violence every day or every week, it's very small percentage of people who experience that violence ever
Yeah.
in their lives. So to suddenly be thrown into a place where all you have is violence, the only way you survive is by fighting back. It's something that would take normal people a bit of adjustment to get used to, because it's just not something we do every day. Just stab something or shoot it or cut its head off or whatever the case is, and that's a lot of people get squeamish when they see those things. Not something we're used to. So you definitely need to take
Yep.
that into account when considering how fast someone gets over violence.
Yeah, especially physically in person like that. We see it on TV a lot and we see it in shows and movies, but it's totally different when it's like up close and personal and right in front of you.
And the other thing to
Yeah.
remember as well is that fighting is physical. Um, and I'm not in very great shape anymore. I mean, I'm working on it. We're getting back there. But
Yeah.
if I had to swing a sword for 20 minutes, I'd probably just be like, "You can kill me now."
Just lay down.
Yeah, I
Just
just I'm
take me.
swinging this thing around with all of my might to hack pieces of somebody's body off, and I'm just like, you could just kill me. I don't need
I'm
this.
done.
So it's a big exertion as well on the people. So taking into account some of those things is always fun to think about. It's a nice way to know that you're like, if you point it out to somebody, they're like, oh, that was an interesting detail. So, and I mean, a lot of people do that, take that into account, but it's something that I hadn't considered fully until I had really started getting into the nitty gritty of this writing.
Yeah. One of the things that I noticed about your series is a lot of people, when an event like this happens and, a half of the people or a majority of the people on the planet die, you never really see the aftermath of that. Like, you don't see the bodies in the street and they don't describe like the smells and the sights and coyotes and wolves and birds. But you did that. You
Yeah,
made it very real.
yeah, I definitely went back and forth on doing that, but I was like, you know what? You kind of get a taste for that in some of these newer series like The Walking Dead, where there's obviously bodies all over places, and they show us some of those
Yeah.
things. They don't put much focus on it but they kind of have it there in the background. And when I thought about that, I was like, I don't see many people just talking about what's actually happening there and describing what it would really be like and getting through those problems. And I wanted to make it as realistic as possible in the sense that it doesn't take you out of this immersive experience. I don't want you to lose the idea that you really are right here with the characters going through and driving through downtown Dallas trying to see if there's any survivors you can help out, or going on a food run because you've got to go raid a grocery store or a gas station. Or in one case, I sent them to the mattress store because people needed a place to sleep and they didn't have anywhere to lay down except the floor because this was mostly
Yeah.
an office building. So it's
Yeah.
it's a big deal for all these realistic things that you encounter when you're sitting down and thinking step by step about how do I make this as believable as possible.
Yeah, and most people just kind of gloss over that. They get to the action and the adventuring and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and
But
that's I mean
yeah,
that's
water and food and clothes, clothes wear out, shoes wear out
mhm.
and people need to sleep and
Yep, and then you
electricity
encounter
goes
the
out.
then you have to also take into account things like scarcity. That was a big thing that I had to come up against in this,
Mhm.
where I got to the end of book one, and I had 1,000 people at the building at the guild
That's a
building.
lot.
So, you know how much food 1,000 people eat? They got to try to figure out something to go through these things. And you can buy food from the vending machines, but everybody has to have cores to buy their food from the vending machines. And not everybody's going to go out and be a fighter or defender in the streets. They need people
Yeah.
who are inside caring for the children. They need people inside cooking and cleaning and repairing the equipment that keeps the building running. Research and development is a big part of something I put in there too that you needed to do because
Mm-hmm.
now the power grid failed.
Of course.
So yeah, but you need to think about all of those things. There's this huge encompassing of things. When I sit down and think about it now, I don't know how in my head it didn't explode sometimes, but I feel like there were a couple of times where I was like, I'm done. I can't handle this. It's too much. But you
Yeah.
always get back to it because it is fun and it's enjoyable. It's cathartic too. Writing is a big
Mm-hmm.
catharsis for me at least. It allows me to let some of the things out that I can't normally express, I guess. I mean, I've got a lot of responsibilities on my shoulders to be the guy who's taking care of everybody.
Yeah.
So it's hard sometimes to express some of those emotions that you have over certain things.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good way to get the internal thoughts out and make them external thoughts without saying them.
It is. Yeah, I had during the process of writing the first three books, I lost three people that I really cared about.
Mm.
I lost a friend from work who I'd been friends with for quite a long time. I lost my father-in-law passed away, and I had another friend who was in our D&D group for years, just a sweet, wonderful woman who passed away as well in a car accident while I was writing these. And each time that happened, I got to put something in there at least somewhere that was like my goodbye to those people.
Yeah.
To one of them. No, two of them I had characters put in after. My father-in-law, I just had a dedication to him because I didn't know exactly where to put him in the book at that point. But yeah, it's also again, it's really cathartic to get to do something like that. Like I got a chance to say goodbye through words and to say something, while I cried on my keyboard about what I was putting into them. So it's really a great thing for me, and I love that I get to do it now. Not full time, obviously. I'm working there. Well, hopefully we'll get to the full
Someday.
time someday.
Someday.
But just getting to do it at all, at least, is it's like an escape for me. It's something to get rid of some of those pent up feelings and emotions.
Yeah. And so you have been a LitRPG reader for a very long time. Longer than most people that I know, actually. What made you decide to finally start writing in the LitRPG genre versus just continuing to read it?
I fell in love with the genre first, so that was a big part of why I wanted to write specifically in this genre. It's like I'm even like right now, I'm pretty much exclusively reading LitRPG books. Like if somebody offers me another book, I'm like, is it LitRPG? You put it on the pile and we'll see if I get to it.
Right.
unless it's like, oh, Tolkien wrote another book, I'd go read that, but he's dead, so that's probably not going to happen.
Probably. It probably won't happen.
Find some of those secret notes somewhere. I don't know. They publish another partial book or something. I mean, I would love that because Tolkien is like one of my heroes. So, but I think the thing that really got me going was actually Alaron Kong was one of the people who really got me pushed into the series. Because again, I started a long time ago. It was like 10 years ago when I really started into LitRPG, maybe even a little longer than that. I don't remember exactly, but I know that Alaron was still publishing his book, his series. I got into it like when he published book 3, I think. So 2016 is when I got in, 2015. No,
Mhm.
I've been writing since I was in like junior high or high school. Never wrote anything this voluminous, but I did. But I did write some things in high school. I wrote I guess
Right.
you'd call it a novella. It was like 42,000 words or something in high school that I found. It was terrible, but I found it, and so I just was like, I'm gonna try, and I tried with the first series first. Something it is actually up on my Royal Road if anybody cares to see how
Oh,
transformative my writing has been. It's called Dragon Riders. And it
okay.
was just not good enough. It was not good enough. But I had some very strong, influential people that I've come to know from being such a big part of the genre. People knew my name because I was just always there asking questions, putting up things that I read that I thought were good, giving feedback on on somebody's question about a book. So Jez was the first one who I sent the book to him. And I was like, hey, is this something that you guys might be interested in publishing? And he said, and he read it, and he read the first few chapters, and he came back and he goes, the story's great, man. I really love the idea behind the story, where you're going with it. Unfortunately, you're just not there yet with the writing. And he
Mhm.
sat down with me for like an hour and a half and just talked about
Oh,
some of the things that make good writing. And that's where I went from there to, and as soon as I did that, I was like, okay, I'm really frustrated with this one, with the Dragon Rider series. And I'm pretty sure if I try to do this, I will go completely insane fixing it. So I was like, I'm just going to start over. It was like a day or two later when I had that dream about vending machines. And I was like, I wonder if that's a thing.
yeah.
and then it just all went downhill from there.
Yeah, I love how open this community is to helping each other out, and no one
Definitely.
really tries to gatekeep anything, and everyone's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll help you out, like, I'll read it, I'll give you my advice and my
Yeah.
opinions," and it's just fantastic.
It really is. It's like nothing I've ever seen in any kind of genre community before. But in this group, because most of the people came from some kind of indie publishing, or even most of the big name publishers, I say publishers because they're not
Mhm.
like the big traditional ones, but they are, I mean, legitimate publishers. But there's genre specific publishers who are still of that same mindset because I think a lot of them are owned by people who were indie authors at some point. And indie
Yeah.
authors are always we're happy for whatever help they got, so they're happy to pass the help back on to the next person. And I have been honored to get to continue that legacy of when someone comes to me with questions about writing and how they do it, I make sure I take the time to sit down and talk to them and show them, this is what I did and I found success with. I had a strategy for this. Sometimes things change. Like Royal Road's a little bit different than when I first started publishing. So when somebody asks, I'm like, I'm going to give you every piece of information that I have on this because somebody did it for me.
Yeah.
Jez, Alaron, James Hunter. I've talked to James Hunter so many times about writing as well. They're just such amazing people that you get to talk to on occasion, and they gave me advice that was really helpful. So I just hope I'm doing the same for the next person.
I love that. I love how nice everyone is.
Me too.
Uh, so in the book, everyone gets things through vending machines. That is the main source of market, I guess.
Mhm.
Is there anything that can't be purchased in vending machines?
No. The deal is the deal that I always tell people is if it's ever been a thing on Earth, it's in the vending machine. And even some things that weren't on Earth from other places that were really really popular got some things that were put in there. You'll see if you if you pay close attention to some of the descriptions that I give when somebody gets an item, there's some backstory in there for the reason that item was created in a certain way and things like that.
Like the
But
loincloth?
yes, like the loincloth. That's my favorite one. Oh my God, I laughed so hard when I wrote that. I was like, I can't believe I'm doing this.
It was
um,
good. It was
it
good.
was, but yeah, but I've told everybody, yes, if it existed on Earth, you can buy it from the vending machine. The only question is, how expensive is it, and can you afford it?
What about stuff like livestock or things
Well,
like that?
no, you could buy. So live things is definitely a little bit more complicated. Um, but I'm still going to stick to my guns and say you could buy those things if they were items because you can't put live things in your storage. You can't. I have officially made that canon. Things will die if you put them in there, but the vending machine is different. So yeah, you should still be able to do that because you could buy cattle. You could buy cattle now. You'd have to be able to buy cattle from there. So I'm going to stick to my guns and say yes. So they don't actually store the items in the can. It's a
Mhm.
magical transportation spell that happens when you open it. That's why there's the big puff of smoke and then something's there
Right.
automatically. So wherever that cow comes from is somewhere, and then it's magically transported there. Maybe somebody on another planet has cow magic, and that's what they do is they create cows uh, out of nothing so that people can have food or fling them over castles if you're British. Or no, French. French did that. The French threw them over the castles. Whatever
And
the case is.
my punny, weird brain immediately went to, like, magician.
Yes, that would absolutely have to be what they were called.
Magician. So I have read in other or I've seen in other interviews where you talk about the magic comes from different chakra points in the system. Where did that idea come from? How did you come up with using chakras as the focal points for the magic?
Well, that was pretty easy. It's definitely an old trope. It's something that a lot of people have done over the years in many different places. It's especially prominent in cultivation things,
Hmm.
especially Eastern style cultivation. If you've ever done any studying of like ancient Chinese arts for healing and things, they believed that the chakra was a place for everything that controlled your body, and so because of that, it meant that that different parts of you kind of represented a different element of the world. The lungs would be wind. The crotch was usually fire for some reason. There's a lot of those that they had those each one of the different parts of the body represented different things for those things. Like dark magic came from the stomach because of the digestion things that happen there and so on and so forth. So I just kind of stole from some of those ideas and just kind of reused them here because it just kind of made sense to say that you would focus on a different type of magic by doing a different type of thing. That's
Yeah.
why not everybody can master those every bit of the elements in some of those older wuxia style stories and movies and things. You can't match them all because you're usually born with some kind of affinity. I took out the affinity of this
Mhm.
one because I didn't feel like that fit, and that was one more thing that would have been a nightmare to keep up with of who had affinities for what. I mean,
Yeah.
I was already having to keep up with the alignments because I made the stupid decision in the very beginning to make things dark and or light aligned. And I had to be like, wait, is that what was his class again? Oh nope, he can't heal him. That's not okay. Um, so yeah, I made that dumb decision in the very beginning, and then I was like, well, no going back now.
I
So
thought that added a really neat layer to everything.
it did. The only problem with it was the editing, making sure that I didn't have light healers healing dark aligned people until they got
Mhm.
to a certain level. Because we did discuss that later. How once you hit a certain threshold of ability, in that um, you're able to heal regardless of alignment. If you chose a healing style class, that is. I mean, like a warlock
Nice.
would probably not be able to heal light aligned people ever, but a cleric, growing up with their focus being on healing spells, would be able to heal a dark aligned person once they reached a certain threshold.
That makes sense.
Right? It's like a
Yeah.
mastery bonus for mastery.
Yeah. In book 1, the main focus once you get through the very beginning of the book is like this big world event, like a big world dungeon that they have to try to get to in the Grand Canyon
Yes,
before all of the vending machines just go kaput and everyone's gone, which would suck.
would they?
So, on the way to the Grand Canyon, they stop in several towns and they help some, they don't help some. They send a lot of people back to their main base, which they eventually turn into a guild, to go join their guild. How many people can that base realistically hold? Like, are they going to have to eventually move?
I talk a little bit about this in some of the later, some of the other books 2 and 3 as well. But there is because they've chosen for the building to be their guild building, they've designated as such. They are able to upgrade it, so they get a certain number of points per day from everyone in the building that would be based on their mindset of how they feel at that time. The happier people are, the more guild points you get each time you go through, and then eventually you accumulate enough points to buy additional uh, things that you can add on to there. Like they upgraded the whole security room in one set. They added some
Mhm.
new doors in another set, like the roll down
Yeah,
metal
the rolling
doors.
ones. Mhm.
So they will have to probably do something at some point. But for now, the option to expand the building is still available, and they would be able to do that for quite a while. Eventually, there would be a point where it would have to spill over. It'd be probably decades in the future when people are, or at least a decade in the future when people are back into the whole procreating things and continuing the species and repopulating the planet or whatever the case is. You know, would eventually probably have to branch off into some other groups. I haven't decided exactly how that would work yet because I don't think that's actually going to get. I don't think I'm actually going to get to that specifically in this series. 10 years is a long time, and these first
Mhm.
3 books were 1 year. So
Woo!
yeah, so I don't know how long it would take me to get through 10 years. So, but yeah, eventually there would come a point where that would have to happen. They would have to split up or move on to another place, or they might even be able to like build another building nearby. That would be an extension or an add-on.
Mhm.
They're always finding new professionals that they can uh, have to help do the things. I don't want to say use because the people are really getting the protection out of it, so it's not used.
Yeah.
Um, but they're finding these professionals who are helping with a lot of these things, and eventually they'd probably build another building or just acquire another building and say this is ours now, and there would be some kind of rule the system would allow them to say, oh, you've hit capacity at your building, we'll let you annex this other building as a part as well.
Yeah, because they send so many people back to their base that it was already pretty full.
No, it was not pretty full before.
Oh, it wasn't?
Yeah, this is a big building. It's actually a real place.
Okay.
It is a big building.
Hmm.
That's like a 900 to 1,000 unit building that's there.
Wow.
It's huge. It's like 40 something stories tall, and it's got all
Oh,
kinds of things
wow.
in it. So it's a pretty cool place that when they first started out was definitely not full, but is getting full now that they've sent all these people back for sure.
So, you don't really go much into, like, gods and deities You do kind of talk about it a little bit because of the warlock class, they have to have a patron. Are these gods and deities and patrons, are they actual gods and deities, or is it someone who has just from somewhere in the universe leveled up so much that they just become godlike?
It's definitely the latter. But at the same time, there is a point where these beings that have been for an unknowable amount of time, they've just existed. When we, we're here in this universe that we say is X number of millions of years old or whatever, billions of years old or whatever it
Mhm.
is. But there are galaxies beyond ours that have been here longer than we have. And it just kind of was one of those things for me to think that if something had existed that long and got to a point where, like we talked about how the patron, Tom's patron Azrock, is very long lived, millennia long lived. So in the times of millenniums, the fact that millennia are passing for
Mhm.
this person has given them all this time to figure out how to up their power. So those that they call them gods. They do call them that because they rarely meddle in mortal affairs because they've reached a point now where they will live forever. They're immortal. They've got enough power that their body can just regenerate on its own,
Ooh.
and they have the ability to wipe out galaxies in with a thought because of the amount of power they've been able to obtain over their extremely long lifespans. So they're
Mhm.
not truly gods. They were mortal at one point, they would have been. But over a period of long, long, long suffering, they managed to gain enough power to kind of shovel off the mortal coil, as it would be, I guess.
So is that something that the people on Earth that have survived can eventually attain, or are we limited by our normal human lifespans?
No, it is possible for you to attain those. In fact, I think I very, very briefly, maybe one line somewhere in there, mentioned that humans live longer now that they have these classes. So it's basically like doubled a human's lifespan. Now you can live for
Ooh.
about 200 years instead of 100 years, or whatever the case is.
You can
Obviously
be like
people will die
elves.
sooner than that, but so it gives you more time to learn those things. So we do have the opportunity. You just kind of have to end up being almost single-mindedly focused on how to get more power to really get to that stage and that point. Azrock
Yeah.
was a warlock at one point, and he became a patron. So it is definitely possible for that to happen.
That's why he's so uppity.
It is why he's so uppity. He's like, I don't have time
He's
to
like,
deal with you
"I've done
people.
it. Why can't you?"
Well, so he comes to love Tom though. That's one of the best things about it is like Tom is different. Like most of the warlocks that he's dealt with are like sacrifices, dark magic. I hate these people. I went evil because my mommy didn't love me or whatever the case
Mhm.
was. And so he deals with a lot of these people who are just like, it's all about me. I don't care. All I want is power. And it's a refreshing thing to meet somebody like Tom who's like, all I want to do is protect these people. I just want us to live. That's all I want.
Yeah. You can kinda tell in book 1 that he likes him. You can tell.
He does. He's really starting to like him at that point, anyways, and the people that
Yeah.
he's with because they're not. Again, if you're used to just popping into a world where somebody's demanding something of you all the time, and then you
Mhm.
popped into this world where everybody's cutting up and making jokes while you're around there, and and he's the kind of guy who loves to make those cut up and jokes as well, then it was just
Yeah.
kind of like a perfect fit for them to be together.
Yeah. Yeah, they make a good team.
I agree.
Uh, audiobook. Steve Campbell is the narrator.
Oh yes, so
He
good.
does a he is one of my top narrators. Absolutely love everything that he does. How did you end up pairing up with Steve Campbell?
I asked for him. Was I guess really the bottom
There
line.
you go.
That's to cut out all the crap, but to go back, I guess to go back and add a bunch of crap. It's so when we got to the process, they said we want you to start looking at people who you think would be good for your book. So you really do have to sit down and think about what you wrote, the tone you wrote it in, the type of voices you would expect to or you heard in your head to
Mhm.
come up. Because regardless of whether people say I imagined what this character sounded like or not, we all have. We all imagined while we were writing it what they sounded like. Well, I had to go through and do a lot of listening to audio samples from different places. The good news, or the good thing for me was that we had narrowed it down to two companies. I would love to have had Sound Booth Theater look into it as well. Um, wasn't in the timelines, which is fine. But I asked for three people. I said these are the three people I want, and here's the order that I would take them in, if that means anything to you. And
Right.
Steve was my number one pick.
Oh,
Um,
yay.
so, and it just so happened to work out that Geneva had a good relationship with Steve, so he was like, "Yeah, let me take a look at it." And then when he read it, he was like, "Yep, I'll do this." So it worked out
That's
really great
awesome.
to get that in there. And Steve and I have spent a lot of time together now.
I mean, he's a good person to
No,
spend
it's
time
great.
with.
Yeah, it's
For the
amazing to get
night
to
and
spend all
it's
that time.
clever.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself writing things with him in mind as the narrator now? Like, or do you find yourself writing things in his voice in your head?
So Steve will never believe me when I say this because he just doesn't, because he gives us a hard time. Same thing. He does the same thing with James. No, I don't write things specifically for Steve. For starters, I actually wrote all three books before I had Steve, so
Ah,
I didn't even know
okay.
that was going to happen because we
Okay.
decided. Yeah, we decided before we went and just pushed all the books out that we decided the best thing to do would be write all three and then just go in order of editing, where it's dev editing, line editing, continuity editing, and then uh, beta reading, and then audio. So
Mhm.
we got those things in there, and I try not to write them in that way because now I have an established voice for the characters and the story itself as well. So going forward, I might throw something fun in there occasionally. That's something that's like I don't know, a tongue twister or something for Steve to do. But having been in there with him and watching how hard he works on these things as well, it really gave me a whole new appreciation for the amount of effort it takes to do what he's doing. And it is monumental. I love Steve too much to do that to him. So I just like to let the book speak for itself in its own voice usually.
Were there any moments when you were re-listening to the book, that really, surprised you or blew you away that he narrated?
Most all three books, I guess I could say. There's obviously some of the really big emotional scenes that I've written into the books because
Mhm.
I didn't want to be a one trick pony of this is the guy who just makes fart jokes and dick shots all the time. So I was like, I don't want to be a one trick pony. I want to be known as just that guy who's always cutting up and what have you. So I wrote some scenes in there that were very raw for me, especially
Yeah.
because again, like in book three. It's book three now. There's a scene with a ghost that is I basically took as the opportunity to say goodbye to a friend of mine, which is where I wrote that into it. Every person in that Discord had to stop what they were doing because we were all just woo-hooing. Like Steve even said he sent it to like Ginger over on TikTok, and she listened to
Mhm.
it, and then she sent him a message back, and I heard the message that she sent back, and she was just a mess from
Aw.
that whole thing because it's this emotional moment of you got this second chance to say goodbye to somebody that you lost,
Yeah.
and help them move on. And it was just so
Ugh,
moving.
gonna
Even
make me
Steve was
gonna
like, Steve got to the
I'm
end of it,
gonna
and he
get
was like,
all
yeah, I cried for like an hour when that scene
yeah.
was being read out for the live, and it's ruined me multiple times. And then but in a good way. It's something that again I wrote that as a goodbye to a friend of mine who I didn't get to say goodbye to, and
Jeez.
so it was my cathartic goodbye to that person. I poured my heart into it. I think it came out nice. Um, Steve uses stronger words than that, but I'm my own worst critic, so
We all are.
absolutely.
So this one's gonna have 6 books. So do you know how you want it to end?
I do know how I want it to end. I,
Okay.
I can't say that yet because I haven't fully revealed where that's coming from. The book three, you started to get some pictures of what happened with it. Book four doesn't talk about it much. It does. It does. Some other things happen in book four that's really cool. I already have book four written, so
Nice. So when will book 4 be out?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
I don't have any word from Legion yet, which is fine. It's a business decision on their part. They need to see how these books are going to go. If they don't want to go with it, I'll figure out another way to do it. But I will get all six books out at some point. But then I started into book five. Book five is really where it starts to snowball into this. Oh, this is what's been happening since book
Mm,
one that's been going on with some of
okay.
these things. And again, book five is where you really start to see that. Oh, even stuff back in book one was planned by this guy, so it's going to be kind of cool to see what happens with some of those things. So I do know how I want it to end, but I can't talk a lot about it yet because, again, I really
Yeah.
haven't even fully revealed what's where that's coming from.
Yeah, that'd be too big a spoiler.
Oh yes.
That'd be too big. So then what's next? What's next for Ryan Maxwell?
So I have a series now that I've started writing. I'm like 100 and I'm just over a little over 150,000 words into book one. And
Grand Prix?
no, Dungeon Grand Prix is already
Oh,
book one is already done of Dungeon Grand Prix. That's been on
okay.
Railroad for a while now, and I did finish that. I lost a little bit of the spark for Dungeon Grand Prix. It's fun, it's cool, it has a an interesting twist at the end of it, I think. But I'm going to come back to that one eventually. I don't think that's the one that I want to do next, if that makes sense.
Okay.
This new one that I have a series called Clerical Errors, what I've called it, and it's a story about the world, one of the world's most unlucky people. Buys a new video game. On his way out there, he gets like a car splashes a puddle on him. His pants rip. He falls over, and while he's waiting in line,
Oh,
he's got the worst luck ever in this
oh.
thing. But so he gets home with his game, and he puts on his headphone, and he lays down in the bed like you see in like like Sword Art Online and things like that, where they
Mhm.
get into a position where their neural network takes over, and a leak from the ceiling comes down on top of him and kills him in the game. It shocks him, and he's transported into this other world that just so happens to be based almost entirely on the video game that he was about to play.
Okay.
But he's stuck. He could not choose his class, so he became a cleric. It's clerical error. He was forced to be a cleric.
I love the play on words.
Yes. He cannot level up. So no matter what he does, killing monsters, finishing quests, nothing like that. He cannot gain experience from it for some reason. There's some kind of glitch that's happened in his
Mm.
transference to this new world. And but he has a spell called mend that everybody knows. Obviously, it's a pretty traditional cleric spell. It's supposed to put things back together that are broken, things like that. But
Yeah.
his is glitched. When he uses it on repairing things, it ends up upgrading them as well.
Oh, you can make
So
lots of money with that one.
you could. The unfortunate thing is that because his luck is so abysmal, a lot of times when he does this, it has an unintended side effect. Like one of the ones that it's not
Oh,
in the book. This one's not going to be in the book, I don't think. So I can say this one at least as an example because I don't want to say what they are because it's a big part of the story. But I
right.
used the example that I used before I wrote the book that gave me the idea was, if he came up to the Grand Canyon and there was something going on with it and he notices and he's like, I need to fix this. All these people are in danger. They're, people have fallen off and gone into the canyon and all this stuff is going on with it as well. So he would mend it, and
You
the
just
canyon
fill
that
it
was
in.
there would just come back together and be mended. And it turns out
Oh,
all these
man.
people were using that canyon as tourism. So now they're mad at him and they chase him
Yeah.
out of town from wherever he's gone because the thing that he's done is awful to them. And then I always reveal it later on that it turns out that the thing that he did, if he fixed a canyon like that, it turns out that when he brought those together, he moved the tectonic plates far enough apart that there was not a major earthquake that would have brought everybody into the canyon and killed the entire town. So every time
But
he
they
leaves
don't
the
know
city or he's
that.
kicked out, yeah, but he never finds out that he did all these great things. So
Aw.
what I'm hoping ends up happening is he's done enough of these things that um, people start believing in this mystical healer or mystical mender, and he's like this ghost who goes from town to town saving people, but he doesn't know that he's saving anybody, so he has no idea this is happening. It's kind of the basis of where I got going with the storyline. The good news is that's not exactly the storyline. So, but I wanted to give you where I came from, so people would be at least
Mhm.
maybe people would be interested in it.
I
It's
like the sound of this.
Yeah, and it's not the same exact humor that I had in Grand System Vending. I've lightened up some of the swear words for sure because that was a lot. I was told. Um, I didn't feel like it was a lot because it was the apocalypse. I think I would be swearing all the time if it was the
Yeah,
apocalypse.
yeah.
But I've lightened some of that up into a little bit lighter phase. He's got a friend, a fun sidekick that's become his friend, who's like this mystery guy who may or may not be like way more skilled than he gives off. I haven't decided yet for sure, but they go on these travels together, and this guy's mostly with him because he finds the main character, who I named Darren, interesting, and so
And
he's
yeah.
kind of become like his protector and things like that in the times, and he helps teach him some of the stuff that's going on with the world, especially since he doesn't know what's happening. He's just been thrown into this world with a system now, and his compatriot Callum has lived with it his whole life, so he's been able to help him out with it. But the whole thing is just like sardonic, sarcastic. So it's definitely got a lot of humor still going into it. And the way that some of his men's fail are absolutely hilarious. I mean, I've been caught myself in tears laughing at a couple of the ones that I put in there. So hopefully that will be coming out on Royal Road in the next couple of weeks is my plan. I have
Okay.
somebody else who's another person that I know. I can't say any names, but they are going to be putting up a book as well, and we were going to do some shout out
Cross
swaps.
promotional stuff.
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah,
That's awesome.
definitely.
So do
Yeah.
you know who you want to publish it? Have you not gotten to even thinking about that yet?
I mean, I would. I'm going to send it to Legion, obviously, because I think they have first right of refusal for me since I signed a contract with them, if I remember.
Mhm.
So I think I have to send it there first, but I'm going to go back and
Okay.
just double check that, or I'll talk to Geneva or Jez about it, because they're both the owners. So I think they have first right of refusal on new items, but then if it doesn't work out, I've thought about maybe taking it to Aethon, or I mean, I'd love to go to Shadow Alley. I love James Hunter so much.
Mhm.
He's such a good guy. Um, I,
This seems right up their alley too.
I think so too. I think it would be right up most people's. Well, maybe not. Legion doesn't necessarily have always the funniest books like what I put out there, but mine was a nice addition, I think, to the shelf for for the
Yeah.
comedic effect. But yeah, I mean, I'm not super picky personally, but of course, I have some loyalty to Legion because they gave me my shot. You know, it was my
Yeah.
first thing, and I really feel like the people there are really do treat me like a family. I would love to have Legion do it, of course,
Yeah.
but I won't have my feelings hurt if they say no either. Not everything's for everybody. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's the truth. So, before we tell everyone where they can find you, was there anything that you wanted to talk about that we have not covered yet?
no, I think we've got all the things that I have to cover. I mean, a lot of times people ask me questions like, if you were to give an aspiring author some piece of advice, what would it be? And mine is always just um, finish the book. So a lot of people, and you always try to make plans too. Like, I want to get this. I'm going to talk to these people. I'm going to put it on Royal Road. I'm going to have it released these times. I'd love to have this narrator. I'm going to talk to this editor. And like, none of that matters if you don't finish the book, dude. So
Yeah.
I'm like, that's one of my big things now is like, despite all the distractions that come up, put all of your focus right now on just finishing the first story, and then you can make decisions on what you're going to do with those things after that. That's my one big soapbox for people who are wanting to be aspiring authors or writers.
I think that's a fantastic piece of advice, honestly.
Thank you.
A lot of people will start and then not finish.
Yeah,
So it makes sense.
it is the hardest part. That's literally the hardest part of writing is actually completing the manuscript. At
Mhm.
least in my opinion, that's the hardest part of writing is finishing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. So where can everyone find you?
I am on pretty much every social media somewhere. My most active ones though right now are Facebook and TikTok. That's where you're most likely to reach me. Discord. Oh, I'm on Discord as well. Discord's a great place to find me. I do have a server on Discord as well. I'm not very active on my server yet, but I'm going to be once we start releasing this book. So on Royal Road. So and then Amazon is where all my books are right now. Audible is where the first two books are on audio. Book three is finished recording, but we are in editing now. So as soon as we finish the editing of that, that'll give like a month of run up time for Audible to get their stuff to go through whatever they need to do on the back end as well. And then I don't know, maybe June. I'm hoping that'll be out. July. We'll
Fantastic.
see. So yeah, Audible and on Amazon are where to get me. If you want to get a slightly cheaper version of the book, and because you love me and you're okay with waiting longer than the 2 days to get your book sent to you, the Legion Publishers website is actually the cheapest place to get any of these books. Yeah, you do have to pay shipping on it, but um, all the authors through Legion get a bigger cut from the Legion book because there's no Amazon to send money to as well. So
So
just as a little
definitely go
sneak
through
peek.
Legion. Yeah. So do you have Patreon as well?
I do have a Patreon. I've not been very active in it recently as well. There's a lot of stuff on it still that you get up there because I've posted most of books one, two, three, four, Dungeon Grand Prix, and some of the Clerical Era book all on it. So there's a lot of content to get through, but I haven't been as active recently because I've been focused on a lot of different things recently. It's been
Mhm.
hard for me to get to a point where I can say I'm going to really focus hard on just author stuff um, other than writing. So, but I'm going to be putting the focus on that soon. It'll become active again. I do have a Patreon. It's Maxwell Author, I believe is the name. Most places I'm either Maxwell Author or Ryan Maxwell Author for where you want to find me on those.
Awesome. Well, I will go ahead and in the description of the video, I will link to your Patreon, your Facebook, your TikTok, your Discord, all the big ones. Okay, well, that is everything that I had for you, Ryan. Thank you so much for coming on and taking the time to sit and talk with me. Thank you, everyone else, for hanging out with us and for checking us out. I will have everything linked down below. Go pick up Ryan's books. They're fantastic. And keep leveling up.